it's really important we don't fall into a sense of false security about how things are wonderful, because for some of our communities, the LGBTQ plus community, things aren't always wonderful. We have seen an increase in homophobia. We have seen, particularly in social media, language being used that we thought had disappeared from the English lexicon.
We're here at the launch of the Love and Wanted campaign today. What can you tell us about it and why does it matter now?
Well, I recognise that even though London is the greatest city in the world, we live in uncertain and unsettled times. I'm afraid seen in this great city of ours an increase in hate crime. Speaking to Londoners who previously felt really welcome and very wanted, are feeling a bit anxious and scared. What this campaign is about is improving unity in our city, making sure everyone, no matter what their background, feels loved and wanted, but also reminded ourselves that we don't simply tolerate difference, we respect it, we celebrate it, and we embrace it.
And you touched on hate crime there. We're seeing an increase in numbers in recent years, specifically against minority groups such as the LGBTQ plus community. How do campaigns help like this with societal acceptance specifically?
I spend a lot of time speaking to Londoners from diverse backgrounds, including those from the LGBTQ plus community. I don't want anybody to feel like they're alien, anybody to feel like they're not wanted, anybody to feel scared, worried about their personal safety because of who they are. Here in London, you should be free to be who you want to be. You should be free to love who you want to love. And it breaks my heart that there are some Londoners who don't feel that way because of things they can't control. And what this campaign is about is reminding everyone you're loved and wanted, no matter what your background, no matter what your sexual orientation, and no matter what the colour of your skin or the God you worship, but also reminding ourselves that we should be more united. And so in addition to this great campaign, we'll also be funding events taking place during the course of this year to bring communities together, to maybe sometimes bust those myths, to sometimes educate people who may have prejudged, and to make sure we carry on being an oasis and a haven for people from all sorts of backgrounds.
And we're seeing a rise in anti-minority rhetoric around the world, specifically coming from the US at the moment. And as we know, the US in the past has had a lot of influence over what happens here in the political sphere in the UK. Do you have any concerns about the ramifications that kind of language is going to have here?
America's a wonderful country. I love America. I love American culture. I love American politics. And just think about the impact America's had on our country for the good. Think about the Stonewall movement. Think about Pride. Think about the civil liberties movement, the civil rights movement in America. So they can be a real source for good, and we feel the ripples of hope and positivity. At the same time, though, they can also be a country that can send the ripples of fear and hatred. So it is really important, particularly in the context of who the new president of the USA is, for us in London to redouble our efforts to inoculate ourselves against any hatred coming from anywhere, whether it's America or anywhere else. And that's why it's really important we don't fall into a sense of false security about how things are wonderful, because for some of our communities, the LGBTQ plus community, things aren't always wonderful. We have seen an increase in homophobia. We have seen, particularly in social media, language being used that we thought had disappeared from the English lexicon, the English language. And that's why it's really important for us to provide allyship, but also for me as the mayor to remind people in this great city of ours, we think our diversity is a strength, not a weakness.
And then lastly, today we're seeing the strikes with Uber and Bolt. Are you concerned about the ramifications that can have for Londoners, and how would you like to see this resolved?
But one of the things we've done in London is say to Uber a number of years ago, we love you being in our city, but you've got to live by the rules. And to give Uber credit, they changed the way they operate in London to make sure they're providing the top service. At the same time, we want to make sure the drivers are treated well, with dignity, with good terms, with good conditions. And so what I'd encourage those that run Uber and Bolt, but also the drivers, is to resolve any differences they've got amicably, because people do use these services, particularly late at night time. Many people use these services for a variety of very good reasons. It is a good service by and large, but it's not unreasonable for the drivers to get fair terms and conditions.